It's Friday evening, just past midnight in Gaza, so the 11th of October. The ceasefire between Israel and the besieged Palestinian territory of Gaza with the Palestinian resistance there is in effect. But many of you are asking already, Mahfouz, what if Israel just gets their hostages back? Because they're expected to now, within the next 72 hours, get all their hostages back. What if Israel gets their hostages back and then they just close the border again and start attacking Gaza again? Right? Starvation resumption. Good question. I'll cover this in the later half of this video. Let's set the scene first. Footage already is available that shows Israel is still defending itself against civilians using tank fire. But give it a day. Ceasefires always tend to be shaky at the start, and analysts have assessed that any ceasefire with Israel included in it is shaky from flipping start to finish, mate. Someone asked in the comments, does ceasefire mean something different in Hebrew than it does in English and Arabic? Well, no, actually, it's the same. It's a fair question because tanks are still firing on Gaza, jets are still flying over Gaza, drones are still buzzing over Gaza, so it's a fair question. The answer is no. The Israelis are aware of the terms of the ceasefire and it means the same thing in Hebrew. So do expect things to die down. It's just taken a while. Now, with Israel having publicly confirmed that, yes, we have agreed to the ceasefire, Palestinian resistance forces are now, as I say, 72 hours. They now have 72 hours to bring forth all the remaining hostages and release them, probably to the Red Cross or Red Crescent Society or some other international aid organization. Then aid is set to be allowed because remember, it has to be allowed. Remember, because Israel still controls the crossings. And as far as I found public reporting on, aid is not yet flowing through on the backs of the hundreds of trucks that will be needed to make sure the people actually have enough to eat and actually have medicine and actually have basic, bare necessities of life. Now, the headline question is, what happens if Israel breaks the terms of the ceasefire? What will be the repercussions? What happens if the hostages are returned and then Israel at some point, a week from now, a month from now, they close the border again and begin to starve the people of Gaza again? What then? What will happen? Who will enforce the terms of the ceasefire? The US? What are they going to do? Have their officials bow only once to APAC handlers in the next meetup with them instead of the usual two bows? What the Gulf monarchy is going to do, huh? What are they going to do? Are they going to get together again and write another strongly worded statement of condemnation in the strongest terms? Oh, such condemnation. And then email it to Netanyahu, CC in all the other Gulf monarchies. Maybe Qatar will send it out and Saudi will be CC'd in and Kuwait. And yeah, what's Egypt going to do? What's Turkey going to do? The answer is, I don't know. That's the answer. Things have changed a lot in the last 2 years and in the last few months. And I don't know what the response would be if Israel breaks the ceasefire. The US has shown it's not particularly keen on stepping into the Middle East again in terms of an armed conflict. As Trump would say, in a big way. He doesn't want to be in the Middle East in a big way. They don't want to commit. Turkey and Egypt have been further emboldened. Saudi have been emboldened or worried by the attack on Qatar, and they've signed a defense deal with Pakistan. Chinese technology, be that aircrafts, J-10s to the Iranians, be that Y-9QBs, anti-air defenses stationed in the Sinai of Egypt. Chinese tech is now flooding into the region in a way that it's not been flowing since, ever, really, at this pace. In response to the June attacks and the Qatar attacks, the June attacks on Iran, the attacks on Qatar in September. And Israel is the most isolated it has ever been in its entire history as a modern nation state, which isn't, of course, long, less than 100 years. I would look carefully to what Israel does, what aid they allow in, what access Gaza gets to the outside world. Resistance forces are calling for an international probe. They're saying, UN, come in, come see Gaza. Don't take our word for it. Half the Western world, majority of the Western world say that the Palestinian resistance forces that govern Gaza are illegitimate, unacceptable. They cannot be allowed to govern. Well, they're those maniacs, according to you, those barbarians. They're saying, come and investigate. Don't take our word for it. right? Come see what Israel has done independently. Verify for yourself. How many bodies are buried under rubble? How many hospitals have been leveled? How many bakeries have been struck by missiles? UN buildings, how many have been trashed? Not by rocket fire, as Piers Morgan said. Oh, it was a stray rocket that hit this building or hit this hospital, Al Shifa Hospital. What's Piersy boy saying nowadays? I don't know. I don't care really. I haven't looked into it rather. We aren't going to chaperone you, the resistance forces say. They say come in and do your international probing, right? See what we have faced, see what has been inflicted on us. Will Israel allow that? Will we see journalists from the West allowed into Gaza? Or is sharing the truth, literally footage of the reality on the ground, is that a threat to national security for Israel? Because Israel uses that reasoning, by the way, to prevent news outlets from reporting from certain places. Outlets like Al Jazeera cannot report from Israel because it's apparently a national security threat. Ooh, Al Jazeera has got Arabic in its name. It must be a threat, right? Keep an eye, ladies and gentlemen, on Gaza and the aid that gets in, is allowed in. And keep an eye on Israel and how breaking of ceasefire terms, if they are broken, is responded to by regional powers and mediators. A part of me analytically thinks there will be a difference. Before, absolutely nothing happened except for words of condemnation. We might have got to a point where if Israel breaks another ceasefire agreement, there will actually be genuine action against them, perhaps economically. Who knows? The citizens of these countries in the region, Egypt, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, the citizens of these countries are likely to strongly protest if their administrations let the Israeli state break a ceasefire again with no repercussions. But time will tell just how these administrations will respond to such a scenario and respond to their own civilians, if their civilians even do demand any action. I myself, I'm not sure how things are going to pan out. We've never been here before, not with the same dynamics. A final point. In Iran, people are out in the streets in the tens of thousands by some reports. Flags of the Iranian government and the Iranian country, flags of the Iranian state, flags of the Palestinian state fly side by side. They celebrate the arrival of a ceasefire and call for the establishment of a Palestinian state. They're saying this is the first step, this is not the last step. We want more. We want a state for the people there. I've not got any details on if people are out in the streets of the Gulf monarchies, like in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia or Doha in Qatar. Their governance model and local laws recommend against protest, I'd say, to put it lightly. Protests and demonstrations and celebrations that have any sort of political leaning. So don't hold your breath for a rave in Riyadh, where Palestinians will be cheering and flying their flags. It's more likely it's going to be a concert with Nicki Minaj in Riyadh, at the invitation of the government, of course, bought and paid for trips for singers, comedians, performers, so that Saudi Arabia can get with the times and westernize and, they're on that flex. Anyway, I digress. For the unbiased news and analysis, without the Western spin, I am Mahfouz, and I will see you on the next one. And I'll keep you updated on Gaza.